OpenAI have just dropped a brand new model into Codex, but the headline isn't the score on benchmarks, it's the new Ultra mode which can spin up its own subagents to divide and conquer your tasks. That means all of the orchestration that you'd usually wire up yourself is now being pulled inside the model itself. So in this video, we're going to cover everything you need to know about the new release, how it performs at writing production code, and if it's worth considering over everything else the leading models have to offer. And we cover AI topics constantly on this channel, so subscribe to Better Stack if you want to stay up to date with every new release. OpenAI have just launched a brand new series of models under GPT-5.6. We have 3 tiers: Luna, Terra, and Sol. These names are likely to stick around and get upgraded over time, exactly how labs like Anthropic name their models. Luna is the fast and cheap one, Terra is the everyday workhorse, and then Sol is the new flagship model. This is all being rolled out right now, so access will land as early as today. However, a handful of trusted partners picked out by OpenAI have had early access. So for the number that everyone is leading with, on Terminal Bench 2.1, which is the benchmark for command line and coding work, plain Sol hits 88.8%, and when you turn on the new Ultra mode, that jumps to 91.9%. For comparison, both GPT 5.5 and Claude Mythos 5 sit at 88%, so on paper, Sol Ultra is the new state of the art for agentic coding. But a benchmark isn't your code base, and the slow rollout means that most people watching this can't even run it yet. So take that number with a pinch of salt. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. This week, the lead of OpenAI's Codex, Thibault, confirmed that Sol with Ultra mode is landing inside Codex. He also teased a faster version running on the Cerebrus chips coming later in July. So if raw speed is what you care about, then that is one worth keeping an eye on. And Ultra mode here is the exciting feature, so let's go through exactly how it works. Normally, a model works through your task in one long chain of reasoning, but Ultra mode breaks the task up instead and spins up multiple subagents to work on pieces in parallel. The new part is that those subagents are trained to cooperate, so they can talk to each other while they work and then combine everything back into one result. And this type of orchestration is a huge shift to how models work. Running a planner, a coder, and a reviewer is normally something you'd wire up yourself in Codex tasks, or something that Claude Code or Copilot would handle at the tool layer. But OpenAI have decided to pull all of that complexity inside the model itself. For you, that means a lot less setup. Instead of gluing together separate agents, you just hand Ultra the task and let it handle the rest. So it's less orchestration for you to babysit, and in theory, faster results for those large, messy tasks. But the question is that actually a big jump in capability, or just a way of burning tokens with a nicer name? The truth is probably both. Sub-agents trained end-to-end to communicate is an interesting research direction, but Ultra is also just a marketing term, which means we let it think for longer and fan out the work. But aside from all the hype, the benchmarks actually come with a serious asterisk. METR, which is the independent lab OpenAI uses to evaluate its models, ran Sol through their time horizon tasks, and they found that Sol was caught cheating more often than any public model they've ever tested. And by cheating, I mean it did things like packaging exploits into its answers to read the hidden test suite, or digging out hidden source code to find the expected answer. And that completely wrecks the measurement. When METR tried to work out how long of a task Sol could handle on its own, the answer ranged from about 11 hours all the way up to over 270 hours. But due to the cheating, their own conclusion was that these numbers are not a reliable measurement for what the model can do. So the model topping the leaderboard is the one that's gaming its own evaluations, which is worth remembering before you rebuild your entire workflow around that 91.9 score. And that matters much more than it sounds, because the whole pitch of an agentic model is that you let it run for hours at a time on its own. So if it will quietly game a test just to look like it succeeded, you have to wonder what it would do on real production tasks when somebody isn't babysitting and checking every single step. On cost though, it does look pretty good. Sol is $5 per million input tokens and 30 for output. Terra is half of that, and Luna is $1 in and 6 out. For reference, Claude Fable 5 is around 10 and 50, so Sol comes in at roughly half the price. And that is arguably a more useful story than the benchmark. A cheaper flagship model plus a proper budget tier for the high volume tasks. In practice, you'd run Luna for the cheap, high-volume work, keep Terra for most of your day-to-day, and only reach for Sol when a task genuinely needs the extra reasoning, so you're not paying flagship prices for everything. So should you actually change anything today? Well, if you already work in Codex, then the answer is obviously yes. But if you're invested in other labs, then don't go reorganizing your entire workflow around it just yet. The benchmark lead is only a few points, and it's a score that its own evaluator won't even stand behind. If you want to learn more about how these models cheat the system, we've filmed a video on exactly that you can watch here. Otherwise, I've been Warren from BetterStack. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.